How's it going, everyone? Nick Salzman here. Wanted to talk to you guys today about how to help with kids that have ADHD, ADD, or any other kind of sensory issues that were developed at a young age or maybe even in the womb. So first we're going to talk about what it is, and then we're going to talk about how to do some work on it. So first of all, what we got to do is understand that when these kids have these kinds of issues, a lot of times that they're created while in the womb still as part of who they are, as part of what they do. So what we do is we don't necessarily fix anything, but what we do is help make sure everything works at a much higher level, so that way these kids can process information and all their sensory stuff doesn't go overboard on them too much, okay? So let's talk about that real quick. So when the kid's in the womb, this is going to be the place where we're going to want to direct our healing energy, okay? So with, of course, the kid being the product of both parents, if we focus our energy to the moment of conception, when the kid was created, we can also tap into both parents at the same time, and we can work on some of their emotional trauma, some of their stagnant energy that's kind of inside some of their energy field, okay? So that stuff definitely has a little bit to do with the way kids are formed in the womb, is with, obviously energy of emotions and trauma that's carried within the parents. Okay, so first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get the right kind of pendulum for this. Okay, so if this was someone that brought a child to me, there's a good chance I'd probably use like a crystal pendulum or a wooden pendulum. But for me, I always like working kind of in the back. I like doing my work without people really knowing what I'm doing, I guess you can say. So for me, distance is always preferred. So what I would ask for one of my clients, or maybe someone reaching out to me, they say, hey, can you help me with my kid? They're experiencing this and this is happening. I say, sure, go ahead and just send me a picture of them. And so what you can easily do is just take your photo and hold your pendulum over the photo like this, right? You can look at it. You can even just look at the photo and see the kid. Or even if you want, if you've actually met the kid before, is just use your image in your mind from your memory and just use that to tap into them, okay? So the very first thing that we're going to want to do is pick the right kind of pendulum for this job. A lot of pendulums out there do a lot of different things, but when I work with a pendulum, I like finding all the specifics. What are they good at? What are they not so good at? And what can we do with some of these applications? So I'm going to use today, we're going to use the Furba pendulum. This one works really, really well because it has like a summer green energy. And for those of you guys that are new to pendulum stuff, these pendulums emit certain frequencies of light. And these certain frequencies of light help us do different things. They're definitely good at some stuff. Whereas like if I wanted to balance the system, or I wanted to send healing energy, blue-green energy would be a great energy for me to send. If I wanted to neutralize self-sabotaging behavior, infrared energy would be very good for this, okay? That's a whole nother topic in itself. For those of you guys that are interested in learning about the different color spectrums and the kind of things we can do with them with a pendulum, I would highly recommend checking out Eric Hunter's course in pendulum alchemy on effective dowsing and anything else that has to do with understanding the radiostatic colors of pendulum work, okay? So, get your pendulum out, you hold it over your photo, okay? Holding it right here. The first thing that I would do is we have to call in our prayer of protection. I always say, under the light of God, I ask for your protection. Surround me in the highest light and allow me to repel anything that doesn't serve my highest good, health, and well-being. Okay? That's always the very first thing that I do, no matter what. Every single time, it's always a prayer of protection. You always want to put a prayer of protection up when you're working with the pendulum. Okay? So next thing I would ask is, do I have permission to connect with the higher self of this child? Okay? And then you get a yes, then you're allowed to proceed. Remember, whenever we want to send healing energy to people, we have to align with free will. Sending energy out is good and it's helpful, but if you really want to cause a positive effect, definitely align with free will and get permission, because this is going to help you a lot, okay? So what I would say is, okay, thank you, universal knowledge. What I would like to do now is go to the moment of creation of this child. The moment where the egg and the sperm unite and create what is to be the fetus. We want to go to that moment, okay? And so once we're in that moment, we know that the parents are connected, okay? Parents are connected through their energy at that time through intercourse. And so what we're going to do is we're going to tap into both parents at the same time, okay? And I'm going to say, universal knowledge, do I have permission to contact the higher selves of the parents of this child? Okay, I'll get a yes. And then I'll say, thank you, universal knowledge. Do I have permission to send healing energy to these parents? Okay. Once you get your yes, you're ready to go. If you get a no, chances are there needs to be another time to do it, or maybe we need to ask a different question. Okay. So for me, I'm getting a yes. We'll go ahead and move forward. And I'm going to say, okay, first and foremost, I want to depolarize all negative mental stimuli or neutralize all toxic emotional trauma stored in the energy field of both parents. Okay, so for me, I like, instead of just sitting here and watching the pendulum spin, I incorporate the ha breath with this. Okay, so as I do this, some of you have seen in my other videos, if you look at the emotional healing protocol, I talk about the ha a little bit in this. Okay, so that's the first one that we want to do, is neutralize all toxic emotional trauma. The second thing that I want to do is send nourishing unconditional love energy to both parents to help them feel full, content, and complete once again. What this is going to do, this is going to help patch up any holes in their aura or any rips in their aura that they may have. Sometimes people take sleep medications or antidepressants. These kinds of things can wreak havoc on the aura, especially if maybe at some point in time in their younger years they were into drugs and a lot of alcohol or something like that. We're going to work on healing all that stuff when we send them nourishing unconditional love energy. Okay, so after we get past that, now we're going to shift our attention towards the fetus. Okay, and I'm going to ask to send blue-green energy to the fetus to optimize perfect health and formation throughout the entire pregnancy. Okay, do your ha breath with this. Okay, then after we get that, I'm then going to ask to send blue-green energy and raise consciousness of all medical workers involved in the birthing process of this child. Okay, now that we've done that, what I'm going to do is work back on the kid again. And I'm going to ask that we ground the kid's energy to its highest and healthiest state. I'm going to ask that we calibrate the nervous system back to its original highest and healthiest state. Okay, so after we do the work, it's important to understand that all time is connected, future, past, present. We all experiencing it pretty much through the present. So now that we've worked on the child, I'm going to ask that we bring this healing energy and bring this healing in this child up to the present moment. Do your ha breath on this one too. Okay, if this is something that kids have developed later in life, like I know sometimes there's some information out there with vaccinations having high amounts of aluminum or this kind of stuff that gets trapped in the brain or other kind of stuff that causes these kinds of things, right? Same thing with like allergies and skin issues. If you have kids that have like a lot of psoriasis or something, when they're born or anything like that, this is a great opportunity to go to the point of conception and to really start correcting some things, right? Because I think you're going to be interested in what you find. Sometimes we find disincarnated energy of maybe a lost pregnancy. Sometimes maybe the dad had a really rough life as a kid and he holds on to a ton of emotional energy that's located in his lower 3 chakras. This is also going to affect the energy of the child at the moment of conception. So if we can focus our attention at the moment of conception, then we can really bring out positive effects right now in this time, in this reality. If we just work on the ADD, you might have some sparing effects. You might have a little bit of help here and there, but I've found the best way to work with this, though, is to go to the moment of conception, when the child is just being created, when the physical body and the physical component of their consciousness is being created. If we go to that point and work on doing our healing and clearing on that, it's going to be really, really helpful for these kids. This is something that, these applications are only limited to your imagination. You can try it out, see what works best for you, but I definitely recommend, if you would like to try and work on children that have ADHD or any kind of sensory issues, This is a great one for it. Also, kids that were born like drug dependent, like say their parents or something were on drugs when they were pregnant or whatever. This is a great one to work with too, because I know sometimes there's birth defects that are from it. Now understand, we're not doctors, right? We don't necessarily heal people. We don't heal the physical, but what we are also is energy. We have a soul. Our soul is energy. Our consciousness is connected to energy. We just have a physical body, and doctors, for the most part, work with just the physical body. So if you really like this kind of stuff and you really want to do this kind of work, I always exercise a word of caution. Always call on your protection and be subtle about it. This is something that I don't necessarily go into detail too much with everybody. That this is what I found, this is what I worked on. I just say very generally, I'm just going to send them some healing energy and hopefully it helps, okay? But now that you've seen this video, now you guys understand a little bit how I direct it. So keynotes, just remember, go to the point of conception, tap into both parents, use yourself some sort of green energy or gray energy pendulum. Karnak pendulum would be well too. There's a lot of good ones that are out there. I have another pendulum available too. This is the Ankh. This one's another really good pendulum for this, okay? And then my most recent one that's available, which is also going to be good for this, is the prayer pendulum, okay? It's a big one, but it's my most recent one. But like I said, try out these different pendulums, try the ones that you have, and see what kind of results you get. And I hope this is helpful for you, and I hope it unlocks some hidden potentials you may have. Thank you for watching the video. Blessings to you all.